Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and a very good evening to all of you. I hope you all are fine. So let's start, and before we start, just let me send the links and then send it to my friends. Just a second. Let me send it in the groups. Then we will start, inshallah. Okay, so let's start. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Studying in different places. Think about where you study. Is it always in your bedroom? At the library? At a friend's house? Outside in nature? Or do you change it up? It may seem strange at first, but it's good to change the place where you study, right? Why? It has to do with your friendly attentional octopus. Real live octopuses have suckers that can help it attach to things. In our metaphor, the suckers can make you learning either stick or slip, right? So when your attentional octopus is helping you understand material, it also picks up other random stuff. If you study geometry in the library, for example, your octopus is working with you to understand the topic, but it also picks up a little of the feel, smell, and look of the library at the same time, right? So a little library flavoring rubs onto the links. See here? If you always study geometry in the library, your octopus gets used to it. When you go to pull a set of geometry links out of your long-term memory, you don't realize it, but this set of brain links has bits of library stuck to it. Your octopus expects the geometry links to be library flavored. So what? Here is the thing. You don't normally take tests in the library. If you have always studied in the library, but your tests are in classroom, your octopus can get confused. In the classroom, your octopus can have trouble finding the geometry links because there are no library flavors around to guide it. You may end up doing worse on the exam. So, if you can, it's better to study in a variety of places. We know that school don't always give you a lot of choices about where to study, but if possible, mix it up at home by studying in different rooms. That way, your attentional octopus ends up getting used to finding things in your long-term memory locker, regardless of where you are studying. If you study geometry in the library on Monday, at home on Tuesday, and at the park on Wednesday, or even just in different rooms on different days, your octopus gets used to finding your geometry links wherever you are. You can do better on your test. Get creative and develop your own tricks to shake things up. Move your chair sometimes to a different part of the room. Take notes with a different color pen. Move your lamp. Anything to switch your learning up a bit. The problem with auditory versus visual learning styles. Researchers agree that people process information in different ways. This has led to talk about auditory or visual or kinesthetic learners. The idea is that some people learn best by listening, others by picture things, others by touching. Unfortunately, what research has shown is that relying on a preferred learning style, that is, using one sense instead of several, can weaken your ability to learn in other ways. For example, if you think you are an auditory learner, you try to learn by listening. The result? You get less practice with reading. How are you going to do well on test? For example, if you don't practice reading, right? So we learn best when we use several different senses, hearing, seeing, and perhaps especially being able to feel with our hands. At deep levels in your brain, you see and hear, you see and smell, you hear and touch. When your brain creates its impressions of the world, you want as many senses involved as possible. So whenever you are learning anything, try to take advantages of all your senses. Don't think of yourself as having a preferred learning style. Think of yourself as an all-inclusive learner. If you imagine hearing a famous person from history speaking to you, or you visualize a chemical that counts a multi-sensory learning, which is the most effective kind for everyone. Sleep. It's even more important than you think. Here is one for you, for your learning journal. Did you get enough sleep? This will shock you, but just being awake creates nasty toxic products in your brain. The longer you are awake, the more the toxins build up. What an awful thought. It's not as bad as it sounds. Once you go to sleep, your brain cells shrink and the poisonous toxins are washed away through the gaps. When you wake up, the poisons have gone. Just like a computer can be rebooted to clear away errors, your brain is rebooted when you wake up from a good night's sleep. This is your overnight upgrade. If you don't sleep enough, there isn't time for all the toxins to be cleaned away. You start the day groggy, blocked, and unable to think clearly. Your neurons can't grow new synapses either. That's been no time for your mental mouse to run along the pathways and make new connections. Fail. So here is the thing. See here? So when you go to sleep, your neuron shrinks, which allows the toxin to be washed away. See, these are the toxins, and when you sleep, so it goes away. Sleep is the ultimate diffuse mood. Ideas, images, and pieces of knowledge flow around your brain freely. Different areas of the brain link up, connect creatively, and work on problems together. People sometimes talk about sleeping on it when they are not sure about something. Your sleeping brain is good at figuring out what to do when you are not focused on it. And incidentally, a nap can also help your learning. Much like ordinary nighttime sleep, a nap allows the information that is temporarily been stored in the hippocampus to be moved into long-term memory locations in other places in your brain. This movement empties your hippocampus so it can more easily hold the new information you want to pour into it after your nap. But don't make the mistake of thinking that a series of naps during the day makes up for a good long sleep each evening. It doesn't. This may spark the question of how much sleep you should be getting. Although people differ, in general you should have at least 8 hours a night reserved for sleep opportunity time, that is, time to both fall asleep and be asleep. These 8 hours of sleep opportunity time should be consistent during the week. It's not the kind of thing you try to catch up on over the weekends. Sleep is the best thing you can do to return yourself each day and keep yourself healthy. Teens and younger people often need even more than 8 hours per night. To help yourself get a good sleep, after dusk rolls around, avoid anything that emits blue light, like iPads, computers, screening, and smartphones. You can also download blue light blocking apps. No sleeping enough can have long-term consequences that are similar to eating arsenic. Lack of sleep allows toxic products to build up all over your body, making you more prone to getting sick, to getting cancer, and to all sort of mental problems. Lack of sleep also stops the growth of new neurons and synapses, making it far harder for you to learn. So note in your learning journal, if you are keeping one, how much sleep you had the night before, and keep track of how you feel. This will help you get a better sense of how well you are doing in the sleep department. If you are tired and find yourself falling asleep during the day, you definitely are not getting enough sleep. And another thing, if you do a little bit of focused work just before going to sleep, you are more likely to dream about it. And dreaming about your studies can help you on your test. It sticks better. Make sleep a high priority. Don't work late the night before a test. It's harder to do well. One Pomodoro with a fresh brain is worth 3 with a tired one. Yes. Eat your frogs first. Eat your frogs first means it's best to get started on the unpleasant or difficult things first in your study session. That way, you can take a break and work on something else if you get stuck. This lets your diffuse mood work in the background to unstick you when you return. You might even finish your difficult task at the beginning of your work period, which feels great. Of course, you like eating frogs. You will need to change the metaphor. Some people like to think of this as save your cookies for last. Right? So set a quitting time. One last tip. It helps a lot if you are able to set a quitting time for your studies each day. We know that school controls a lot of this, but when you are working on your homework, plan to stop by a certain time if you can. Carl Newport, for example, had a firm 5 p.m. quitting time throughout his college studies. He ended up getting his doctorate, that's the most advanced kind of university degree in computer science, from MIT. This is one of the world's best universities, so it worked well for him. You might want to check out some of his books, such as How to Become a Student. Carl insists that he was not a natural superstar. Instead, he found that setting a firm quitting time allowed him to focus intently on his studies during the day. He was then able to relax and enjoy life with his friends in the evening. Carl reduced his stress level by learning to keep intent focus when he was studying. Carl recommends a shutdown ritual he uses when he is removing himself from work. You might do something similar. Pretend you are an airport pilot. At the appointed time, say countdown that ends with system off. One exception, before you go to sleep, you can make a few notes in your learning journal or think back over your day. It's also okay to take a last peek at something you are trying to reinforce. This fuels your dreaming and your learning. But try to stay away from backlit screens like those on a computer or a smartphone. For at least an hour or two before bedtime, backlit screen sends light signals to your brain that say, wake up. This can make it harder for you to fall asleep. Chapter wrap-up. Back to music. We have covered a lot in this chapter. Now that we are ending, we promised to let you know that what research has to say about listening to music. Here is the conclusion. Scientists aren't sure. Sometimes, and for some people, music can be helpful, but sometimes music can fool you into thinking it's helpful when it is actually harmful. This is why it is so important to become a learning scientist. Observing your learning as if you are a scientist will allow you to see what effect music and other influences have on you. The only guidance that research provides about music is this. It seems that your attentional octopus can be more easily distracted by loud music and by music with words in it. The words fill one of your octopus's arms, making it less efficient, but quieter music with no words can sometimes be helpful depending on what you are studying. One thing to keep in mind is that there probably won't be music when you are talking at taste, unless you happen to be close to the music room at school. The bottom line is that if you want to listen to music when you are studying, it may be okay, but be careful. You will need to try this out for yourself and see what works for you. Be honest with yourself. Now you try. Think like a learning scientist. Today is a great day to start a new habit, reflecting on your learning. Scientists observe things carefully and try to spot patterns. You need to do the same. Whether you use a journal or just get into the habit of thinking back over the day, the important thing is to think about it. Remember to observe as if you are watching from the ceiling. After a while, you will become so used to it, and you will be able to see your day's activities in your mind's eye, even when your eyes are open. If you have had a quiz or test that day, it can be especially valuable to think like a learning scientist. If you did well, what did you do right? If you didn't do well, what went wrong? What parts didn't you know well? How did you study those parts? What can you do to do better next time? Here is a sample of what your journal might hold, or the sorts of things you might think about it, about the tail end of the day. My learned journal, a sample page, date, your symbol for the day, how did I set myself up, how long did I sleep the previous night, hours, how long did I exercise today, minutes, what food I eat today, okay, my school bag and my locker, new stuff I learned, old stuff I recalled and reviewed, where did I study, place 1, place 2, place 3, Pomodoro I did today, tick off, okay, some smart things I did today, swallowed any frogs, tackled any test, taught someone else, to-do list made for the day, my system shutdown time, right? Pause and recall. What were the main ideas of this chapter? You can recall them where you are currently sitting, but then try recalling the ideas again in a different room, or better yet, when you are outside. Summing it up, everybody is different. That's why it is important to become your own personal learning scientist. You can see what works best in your learning. Think like a scientist and start looking for patterns in what works and what doesn't work for you. Music can be either helpful or harmful when it comes to learning. Look from the ceiling at how music affects your studies. Study in different places when you can. This allows your attentional octopus to be comfortable when it takes a test in a room that's not the one you studied in. Try to learn using a variety of senses. Your eyes, your ears, your hands, even your nose can help you learn. You learn best when you use all your senses. Sleep not only helps build new synaptic connections, it also washes away toxins. Eat your frogs first. Start with the harder materials first, so you can take a break and use diffuse mode if you need to. When you can, set a firm daily quitting time to allow you to concentrate more intently when you are working. Check your understanding. So yes, these are the questions. You have to write it down in your notebooks and you have to just study them. Right, picture walk done. Okay, so this is chapter 14. So we just leave it for tomorrow. I think, from Monday, inshallah. So yeah, so like today, this week's study is done, alhamdulillah. From next week, from like Monday, inshallah, we will resume our study. Okay, thank you for joining to me and for having a patience and helping me study together. And jazakallahu khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you later.